What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today I wanted to showcase some Charjabug action in the Open Great League. This Pokemon I think has been a little bit forgotten about in the current ground-type meta that we're in, but as long as you can avoid those Pokemon, it's still a very strong pick and a fantastic core breaker with Bug and Electric-type offensive pressure. If you've been enjoying these videos on the channel, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps out so much, but without further ado, let's get into the battles and see what Charjabug can do. Alright, let's get right on into game number one. Charjabug up against a Jumpluff in the lead. Very good lead matchup, not because this is a good matchup for us in the current moment, but rather because we get to avoid a grass type with our Shadow Feraligatr and our Diggersby. All I want to do is neutralize this Pokemon so it's not quite as big of an issue for us later on. X-Scissor is neutral, it does more damage. Actually, I think it's like the exact same damage as Discharge, just a little bit less energy. So I'm going to go for those in these neutral matchups. Aerial Ace is going to do a neutral amount of damage to us as well, but because Fairy Wind is not the strongest fast move in the game, it's not going to be able to easily put us into 3-shot range just yet. In comes our second X-Scissor. We need a third if we want to knock them out. They might just shield that up and go for a ton of aerial aces to try to win the 1-0 shield matchup. But once this Jumpluff is a little bit more chipped down, I can Shadow Claw or Quick Attack them down with my Pokemon in the backline. So I think I'm going to be fine taking a shielded advantage this game and then setting up either my Diggersby or my Shadow Feraligatr in the back. In comes that shield from our opponent. They throw another aerial ace. I know they have a decent amount of energy, but if I come in with Shadow Feraligatr, I should be able to go for a full Shadow Claw down before they can bait us with an aerial ace and reach an energy ball. All I have to do is shield up the first move. This is the only one that they could throw that would even potentially be an energy ball right now. All they're going to get to again will be an aerial ace, so we can no shield this attack, go for that full Shadow Claw down once again, and hope in the backline this energy is going to go a long way. In comes a Dunsparce actually, which is a Pokemon that can resist our Shadow Claws, but because Hydro Cannon is such a powerful move, it comes very close to two-shotting. With that said, this Dunsparce seems a little bit more bulky than most that I've seen. Some Dunsparce are very easy two-shots. This one might barely survive this Hydro Cannon, likely a very high rank. If they survive, I'm going to try to catch the move, snipe them down with our Diggersby, and hope that the energy on our Shadow Feraligatr and the fact that we have a Diggersby in the backline avoiding a Jumpluff will be enough to win this game. Our opponent, though, they come in with the Shadow Annihilate here, a Pokemon which obviously has a ton of play into Diggersby, but I think our Shadow Feraligatr, if we can draw a shield, can reach a Hydro Cannon and still win us this match. We get the attack drop here, which is absolutely massive. Our opponent is at back-to-back Rachis, but they're going to be forced to throw this energy, or else they're going to have to take a full-on Hydro Cannon later on this game, plus a Scorching Sands from our Diggersby. At this point, they're just going to throw back-to-back, boost our attack up twice. They're going to try to counter us all the way down before we can reach a Hydro Cannon with our Shadow Gator. At this point, are we going to be able to survive? Just barely. We're able to get this Hydro Cannon off with just 1 HP remaining. Hydro Cannon should be more than enough to close out this endgame. Shadow Feraligatr putting in an absolute clinic this game. GG's to our opponent. Next matchup up against Rise to Occasion. Fantastic battler, fantastic content creator, and he is leading a fantastic lead for us. A superior, and he safe swaps with Corsola. This is probably just a game over, honestly, at this point. We have the hardest wall to this energy in the game. We build up a lot of energy on Charjabug. That was not a very quick battle. I'm sorry, Rise. We kind of RPS him a little bit there, but GG's as always. Next matchup, going to see a Quagsire in the lead. A very good lead for our opponent. Unfortunately, it's not a good lead for us, but they come in with a Shadow Jumpluff to respond. This matchup is always such a mind game. Do you bait? Do you nuke? Do you no shield? What's going to happen here? In comes the Hydro Cannon. We draw the first shield. Our opponent likely going to try to bait in return, but I don't want to be in a situation where we get one shot here by an energy ball, so I'm going to shield this up, knowing that we got a bait and an energy lead. So even if we no shield or shield the wrong move, we should still be in a decent spot as long as we make one more right call. We're full sending the Ice Beam on this next attack. It one-shots the Jumpluff, and now we are in the driver's seat. All I need to do is take a shield from this Charjabug throwing this Hydro Cannon, and despite the fact that they do have a bit of a core breaker to our Charjabug and Diggersby duo, I think that we have enough play with Diggersby into Quagsire that we should still be able to win this matchup up. Here comes in that Quagsire. Obviously, Aqua Tail is super effective, but this is a non-Shadow Quagsire, so there's no way 2 Aqua Tails will knock us out. These Mudshots doing almost nothing to us, and Quick Attacks and Scorching Sands are going to add up quite a bit against them. At this point, it's going to be a race. Who is going to reach the charge moves first? They need 2 Aqua Tails. I only need 1 Scorching Sands. We CMP, they're back-to-back right now, but because of this CMP, as long as my Scorching Sands knocks them out, this will eliminate that final Aqua Tail of energy that they have, meaning that this Diggersby is still going to be around for their Charjabug. We have the Charjabug Mirror, and we even have a bit of HP left over on our Shadow Feraligatr if we need it. In comes that Charjabug, as we all would have thought. I'm just going to be able to no-shield this at this point, or I guess shield as well works out just the same. I can reach a Fire Punch. Our opponent does have back-to-back charge moves, so it doesn't really matter where we shield. You're going to force energy one way or another. Diggersby will end up going down, and now all I'm going to need is 2 X-Scissors to win this matchup. X-Scissor does not two-shot from full HP, so that means that I can survive 2 even if I lose CMP, but our opponent has been chipped down by fast move pressure this game. I do win CMP, so it doesn't really matter, but even if I did end up losing this CMP here, there's no way we lose this game. As you're going to see, this X-Scissor does not put us even close to half HP right now. It's going to be able to survive the next move pretty easily. Like 1 or 2 Volt Switches would put us kind of close to farm down range, damage, but this next X-Scissor, if they were able to throw it, would not knock us out. X-Scissor number 2 does knock out their Charjabug, and we are able to flip one of the worst leads we could see. All right, next game, a Venusaur in the lead. One of the best leads we could see, mainly because we get to avoid this on our backline, but they say swap once again a Shadow Quagsire Pokemon we don't have a lot of play into, and they throw instantly with an Aqua Tail. I'm kind of fine with this. I was a little slow on the swap, so I'm going to take this opportunity with the Shadow Quagsire at no energy to now come in with our Shadow Feraligatr and see what we can do. I'm going to bank that X-Scissor as well, just in case we need it against the Venusaur. We want to make sure we can get shields down this game, because once shields are down, Venusaur is going to be a lot less scary for my Diggersby, for my Gator as well, and in comes that Venusaur. As we were saying, this Pokemon will Vine Whip us all the way down, but I'm at least going to bait an Ice Beam here. Maybe I can get 2 charge attacks off and either draw a shield or do massive damage to this Venusaur. Looks like we might actually get to do both here, get both that shield and a Hydro Cannon into Venusaur right now. This will put them into X-Scissor range, maybe even Fire Punch range from our Diggersby, and we should be in a very good spot. Our opponent swaps out to a Carbink of all things, but we have that Diggersby in the backline ready to go to hard counter one of the most annoying Pokemon in the game. Alright, next matchup, Charjabug up against a Feraligatr. Fantastic lead. Interesting to see the non-Shadow Gator, actually. Our opponent staying in for just a second here, but since this is the non-Shadow, we take a lot less fast move and charge move pressure from it. I can easily no-shield this, survive the attack, and see what our opponent wants to do. They're staying in for just a second. I'm going to make sure that they're staying in, wait a turn, and throw this X-Scissor to get a decent chunk of damage into this Feraligatr. They might survive if they call the bait, but they do end up shielding one way or another. In comes a Diggersby to try to catch our attack here. I don't fall for it. I'm just going to overfarm just a bit more with our Charjabug and come into the mirror match. We don't have a hard answer to these Diggersbys, so I am going to try our best to use our own Diggersby to neutralize this Pokemon. I could have come in with our Shadow Feraligatr, but as we know, Shadow Claw is resisted by the normal type damage, and it can be a lot more awkward than I'd like it to be, especially down as much energy as we are. Scorching Sands is going to come through from our side and their side. I don't think either side here got an attack drop, which means this matchup is going to play out a lot quicker than it could otherwise. Our opponent throwing a Scorching Sands once again, and it seems like yet again no debuff has been thrown. All right, another Scorching Sands coming through. I am a little bit worried about the fact that Feraligatr could come back in here, maybe catch a move at some point. Let's see what's going to happen. There is that Gator. They do throw energy, but I'm fine with this. I have a lot of energy left over on my Charjabug. They did store a bit of health and energy on their Diggersby, though, so this could be a bit of a tricky endgame depending on how they're going to play this out. I'm just going to instantly throw this X-Scissor, try our best to either draw the final shield or get rid of this Feraligatr. We have a bit more energy on our Charjabug, and in comes a Malamar. Our opponent gets a little bit too greedy here. They thought they could farm me down before this next X-Scissor would be reached, but super effective X-Scissor would one-shot a Malamar. They have to shield, and now that shields are down, I have a very straightforward win condition. Just build up to back-to-back Hydro Cannons and then fire them off one after another, and I should be able to win this game. Malamar, though, is a very spammy Pokemon. First foul play has been reached. They are going to be able to outpace us before we can get to 2 charge moves and reach this next foul play or superpower. They do superpower, so I'm going to expect the swap out. I know Diggersby had energy on it, so I want to throw this instantly. Malamar's energy dry. I just want to snipe down this Diggersby the second it comes in, and I see that Malamar come back in as well. Might as well throw the Hydro Cannon. Our opponent realizing that our Gator is going to sweep them. GG's. All right, next matchup. Hey, okay, that's a bit of an awkward lead, actually. So the thing is about Steelix is this Pokemon does have a lot of neutral and resisted pressure into our Charjabug, but we're doing a lot of resisted damage back and forth, so it's not a great matchup, but honestly, all things considered, maybe at the end of the game, we can still make something happen against this Steelix with our Charjabug, but I'm still just going to safe swap instantly to our Shadow Feraligatr and see what we can do. Oh my goodness, they have a Golisopod here. That is a crazy Pokemon to see on our screen right now. A very squishy Pokemon, but unfortunately with the amount of health that we have left over, I don't think we're going to have quite enough to reach another Hydro Cannon, just barely, and we are going to get knocked out here. In comes our Charjabug. We're going to try to farm this down with 2 more fast moves. If we can, we're in a really good spot. If we can't, maybe I can swap into my Diggersby and try to get a snipe down, because Quick Attack is slightly quicker than a Volt Switch would be. In comes that Steelix for some reason. That's a good sign for me, I think. If they try to come in with their Steelix, that means that I can absorb these charge moves, and maybe the energy on Charjabug can go into something else later on this game. Our opponent, though, they just wanted the Psychic Fangs debuff, then they come in with a Shadow Pidgeot. We have Quick Attacks, which are neutral. We have Fire Punches as well, which are neutral, but the thing is, Pidgeot is kind of a bulky Pokemon, despite being a Shadow here. They can survive these fast moves and charge moves a little bit more than I'd like, but I know as well the Switch Clocks are distinct. If there's any chance I can get out of this matchup and come in with our Charjabug, maybe get a full farm down, this game could still be ours. In comes an Aerial or a Feather Dance, potentially. It seems like a lot of these Pidgeots are running Aerial nowadays, but I can now swap into our Charjabug, get 2 more Volt Switches, and now we have back-to-back X-Scissors, which while they are resisted, they are still going to start adding up over time. X scissor number 1 comes through. As you can see, almost no damage there, but I have to go for these. I have to try to draw a shield or trip them down into fast move farm down range. Second X scissor does come through. The third one, though, if it does end up landing, it's going to put them into the red, maybe into range where quick attacks and volt switches could knock them out if they opt to no shield this once again. Another X scissor comes through. Our opponent no shields it again, knowing that I have a fire punch or potentially a scorching stance that I could reach in the back line, and now I have a call to make. I know my lose condition is shielding a psychic fangs and then landing an earthquake, so what I'm going to do is no shield that first attack, even if it's an earthquake. There is no way we can lose this game because I survived the fast food pressure after the fact, and this Psychic Fangs is going to mean their energy dry. No way they get to another one. GG's to our opponent. That was a very interesting matchup there. All right, Charjabug up against a dewgong, one of the best leads we could see. We don't want this on our Diggersby, and let's see how they're going to play this one out. They end up playing with a Wigglytuff here, a Pokemon we have a lot of play into. We can just go for our Diggersby and try our best to whittle it down with Scorching Sands and Quick Attack. Our opponent is going to build up to an Icy Wind, an attack that is super effective and can debuff my Diggersby, which is a little bit unfortunate, but once this Wigglytuff's out of the way, I have a feeling my backline should be in a very good spot against that dewgong. In comes an Icy Wind. We will shield it up here, try to get as much chip damage, and maybe get both shields down from this thing if we can. In comes yet another Scorching Sands from us here. Diggersby should be able to reach the next Scorching Sands before the next Icy Wind. Let's see what's going to happen here. Scorching Sands does get thrown. The next one is reached, but I can't throw on good timing until right now. I was so obsessed with good timing, I actually let them get to another charge move first. That is a huge throw by us. I don't know why I did that. I should have just thrown the Scorching Sands instantly. This is looking so much worse than it could be right now, but I think maybe I can go for a full Volt Switch down, but once again, Volt Switch being a little bit too clunky, they survive on 1 HP, but I do get the snipe down with our Shadow Feraligator's Shadow Claw against that normal type Pokemon. Alright, in comes the dewgong. There might still be a chance for us this game, despite how sloppily I've played out this matchup. Let's see what they have in the back. In comes a charge move from this dewgong. I'm going to shield up, hoping that they don't go for a bait. In comes a drill run, so it's a good thing we're not going to be attack lured right now. Hydro Cannon number 1 going to be queued up, but I think dewgong might just have a little bit too much bulk to get knocked out by 2 Hydro Cannons. We do, though, have a lot of energy on Charjabug. There's a chance here we could still win this game, depending on what their third Pokemon's going to be. In comes our second Hydro Cannon. I don't know if this is enough to knock out. Once again, it's not, but we can catch the drill run on our Charjabug, get another Volt Switch of damage and energy against this dewgong, and we have almost 100 energy on our Charjabug. In comes a Guzzlord. Okay, this could be winnable depending on what we can do here. First X Scissor is going to get shielded, second X Scissor will land, but I think at this point our opponent is going to be outside of Hydro Cannon range. I'm going to need to make it to an Ice Beam on our Shadow Feraligator if I want any chance to win this game. Our opponent gets the full Dragon Tail down. They have a Brutal Swing loaded. I know that I only do about 30 to 35% of their health with a Hydro Cannon, so I need the Ice Beam still. Can I reach it? No, unfortunately, just barely cannot. I misplayed that game so hard. I am so sad I wasn't able to win that one, but they did outmaneuver me that game, so GG's to our opponent. Another Steelix, this time a Shadow Steelix in the lead. We say swap our Diggersby to see what can happen, and in comes a non-Shadow Drifblim. This is a very interesting Pokemon for our Diggersby to deal with, but I know over time, these Icy Wind debuffs are going to add up. They're super effective, and despite resisting these Astonishes, we're going to start doing less and less damage, and eventually this Drifblim is just going to kind of outwork its way in this matchup. Icy Wind does end up debuffing us before the second Fire Punch, but we are at the second Fire Punch, almost at the third already here, and there is a chance maybe we can desync switch clocks this game and potentially still win it. Alright, another Fire Punch is going to come through. Our opponent is overfarming just a bit more. I think they do have an Icy Wind right now loaded, and let's see how they want to play this out. Our opponent... Okay, this is weird. They swap out to an Annihilate. I'm going to swap into my Charjabug, try to neutralize the Fighting-type Pokemon with our Bug-type, but I know that Discharge is not exactly the best move in the game, and Rage Fist is a very spammy attack. They're going to boost their attack stat every time they throw it, and because Discharge is such a slow attack, they're actually going to pace on even energy here to these Rage Fists. They're going to be able to outpace us because of their energy lead, and this matchup is not as good for a Charjabug as you might expect. But we do know the full team. It's the Shadow Steelix, a Drifblim, and this Annihilate. That means that our Shadow Feraligator should have a lot of play, and our Diggersby as well, once this Pokemon's out of the way, could have quite a bit of play into their backline. Discharge number 2 does come through. Our opponent opts to shield it up, and in comes a ton of counters. What do they do here? Unfortunately for us, they do reach a charge move at the last second. I think that would be a 1 HP KO, so I'm going to have to no-shield this and get a Shadow Claw farm down if I can with our Shadow Feraligator. I don't know if a Hydro Cannon can one-shot a Steelix, but at this point, I think I need it to if I want any chance to win this game. Can they reach another charge attack? Just barely. They do get KO'd right before another Rage Fist is reached, and in comes the Shadow Steelix. Hydro Cannon, Shadow into Shadow. Is it enough? Steelix is pretty bulky. I don't think it will be. Yeah, they survive with a little too much HP. We don't have the combo play ready, unfortunately for us, and they do reach an Icy Wind here. I'm going to shield this attack up because I know they have so much energy. They're going to be able to reach another one in just a second, and I need to try to keep my Diggersby alive because our Shadow Feraligator is in a very bad spot in the backline here. We have almost no HP on it. What is going to happen now? In comes the next Fire Punch. Unfortunately, we just barely don't reach it, and we don't get the quick attack farm down. I miscalculated this game. Maybe I should have saved my shield for my Shadow for Alligator, but it doesn't look like it's a good spot for us to be in right now. These Thunder Fangs are going to add up, and they have a charge move. I might have mismaneuvered my way through that end game, but it was a little bit of a tricky matchup there through and through. GG's to our opponent, though. Shadow Steelix, I don't respect it as a Pokemon, but I mean, if I were to run a Steelix team, another Steelix, I was going to say, if I was going to run a Steelix team, that probably would be one of the ones I'd be more comfortable using. I think it at least has a little bit more sense to it. But next game, another Steelix, and I think that was a Superior that came in to answer our Diggersby, which is not exactly what we want to see. Maybe if I get shields down, though, my Shadow for Alligator can put in work in the backline. Yet another charge move is going to be thrown. The first charge move of the Superior, like the Frenzy Plant, it's not going to knock us out, and these Fire Punches are going to do quite a bit of damage to them, potentially putting them into a range where we can Quick Attack or Volt Switch down. Fire Punch number 2 does end up landing. I was kind of hoping to get a shield there to try to maybe get both shields from my opponent, but they are playing this out very smart. They're going to no shield that second attack, and this third attack, I have to shield first, and now they're going to have to shield if they want to keep switch, which I'm assuming they're a Steelix user. They probably do want to keep switch here, and I'm going to get a huge energy lead with our Shadow for Alligator. I'm expecting double grass right now. If that is the case, we might have a chance depending on if we can land an Ice Beam through a shield here. Is it going to be enough? They might expect a bait right now, and they might just know that Shadow Steelix could win them the game either way. We actually land the attack. Okay, this could be big. All I need to do is know exactly how to play around with my Charjabug against the Steelix, and there might be a chance that enough X-Scissors eventually could win us this matchup. We have a way to clear defense drops with our Diggersby as well, so depending on how they play this out, I can always clear my defense drop, and I might still have a chance here despite having only resisted damage left this game. Diggersby is always going to get sniped down by a Psychic Fangs. If my opponent's smart, they're always going to have a ton of energy on the Steelix to throw back-to-back Psychic Fangs against that Diggersby when it comes back in, so I need to make sure I am keeping track of their energy. In comes yet another charge move from us. It has put them almost at half health. This next X-Scissor should put them below the yellow, and it should make it so it's a little bit lower down. I don't know how many more we're going to need. Maybe 2 more, maybe 3. We're doing almost no damage to them, and we are now going to be 2 times debuffed with these Psychic Fangs. Our opponent doing a fantastic job of keeping as much energy on the Steelix as they possibly can. I'm going to try now to clear our debuff, see if they're going to throw energy, and they are right before the Fire Punch is going to be reached. They had back-to-back Psychic Fangs, so not quite any reason to shield this, because this Steelix could still have access to a move like Earthquake. We reached the X-Scissor, and I think as long as we can two-shot them here, then we have this game in the bag. We're 1 Volt Switch away. They're going to be forced to throw energy here, and if they do, that's going to give me the final Volt Switch that I need to get this X-Scissor off, and to CMP, knock out the Steelix. Somehow, enough X-Scissors eventually were enough to knock out one of the most annoying Pokemon in the game. Our little Charjabug able to take it out. GG's to our opponent. All right, next matchup, Charjabug up against a Charjabug mirror matchup. A lot of electric type damage here today. Let's see what our opponent wants to do. We know this mirror matchup is very neutral. It's going to come down, well, in the Zero Shield, it can come down to just a Simul KO with fast moves, but also if you have a super bulky into a super bulky Charjabug, there's a chance you can reach a third X-Scissor. So let's see what their Charjabug's bulk's looking like. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case this time. They probably have a little bit less of a bulky one. Maybe they have less HP, I guess, than you would need. And in comes a Hippowdon here to try to catch a move. Luckily, I mean, I still went for an X-Scissor, and this is a Volt Switch, or a Thunderfang rather, Hippowdon. That's a Pokemon with another electric type fast move, and I'm going to come in with our Diggersby and absorb all of this fast move pressure that we can after overfarming just a little bit more with our Charjabug. Very interesting team from our opponent so far. Our Diggersby is going to be able to easily survive a Scorching Sands. We can survive a second one as well. Our opponent is almost at it, but this Fire Punch should be able to knock them out or draw a shield if they want to invest already in this matchup. Fire Punch is going to be shielded. Always love to see a Fire Punch of all things get a shield, especially when I know I survive this next charge move. I can come out of this with a ton of energy, and I think I'm going to still be in a very good spot this game. In comes the next Fire Punch. We are at back-to-back, so if that Charjabug does come back in, they're going to be forced to throw all of the energy that they have there if they want any chance of knocking us out. I'm kind of wondering if this is like a triple electric team, but I guess this kind of answers that question. No, it is not. It is a Marowak in the backline, so a double ground backline. Very interesting team, though, to pair that with a Charjabug lead, and they do get a snipe down with their X-Scissor, but at this point, I know we have this game in the bag. All I have to do is go for this X-Scissor, either knockout, or maybe even get a tactical undercharge here to set up a Shadow Claw energy advantage against that Marowak later on. They're still going to be forced to throw energy against us if they want to take us out, and now this is the perfect farm down range for our Shadow Claws to knock out this Charjabug before another charge move is reached. With this energy lead now, I know there's no way this Marowak can get to 2 chargers. I guess 3 at this point. I still have 2 shields, so they need 3 Bone Clips to knock us out. But we are already at the back-to-back Hydro Cannons. The first one will likely draw the shield. The second one likely will KO, or our opponent realizing we do have 2 moves, they will opt to no-shield the first one. GG's to them. Next matchup, Charjabug up against a superior, fantastic lead. Our backline is so weak to Grass type that we don't want anything to do with it, but they do end up safe-swapping a Licky, a Pokemon we don't have a hard answer to, especially if they're running the charge move Solar Beam. If that is the case, then this could be a little bit awkward, but I'm going to chip them down with that X-Scissor and then come in with our Diggersby to try our best to neutralize this Pokemon. They didn't even build up to the Solar Beam though, so I know for a fact that's just a Body Slam or maybe an Earthquake. We can no-shield that easily and see what they want to do this game. In comes yet another charge move. We get yet another quick attack through for free because of slightly mistiming by our opponent. Earthquake does a decent chunk of damage, but Scorching Sands should come through in just a second. Another alignment throw, meaning that we go over 100 energy here. A little bit of a misplay by me, but I still can go for a Scorching Sands back to back and be in a pretty decent spot. Scorching Sands coming through right now. Our opponent has a big decision to make. If they shield once, though, they're going to have to shield twice, so they do opt to let that go, and they come back in with their superior. I know while they will get a big farm down, I'm going to get 2 Fire Punches into them if they don't throw any energy. They might not even get a chance here. I guess they could Aerial Ace if they wanted to snipe us down, but I get 2 Fire Punches, which means at this point, this Pokemon is going to be in range where 1 Charge Move, or maybe even Fast Food Pressure, could knock them out, and Charjabug is one of the best Pokemon in the game for just sponging energy from a superior, being able to force them to throw less efficient Aerial Aces, or potentially resisted Frenzy Plants. Alright, the Shadow Quagsire is their 3rd Pokemon, a pick that I think is a little scary for us, especially down energy with our Shadow Feraligatr. If they get a double bait with Aqua Tail, we could be in a very bad spot. But I think we're still in a position where we could win this game, because our Charjabug is going to be able to knock this out with an X-Scissor in just a second. All I need to do is get a bit more Shadow Claw damage and draw the second shield. Then my Shadow Feraligatr is not going to be needed anymore. I just have to get to an X-Scissor against this Quagsire, and X-Scissor against that Superior, and we should be able to win this game. Our opponent has to go for a Stone Edge. I'm going to make them throw it right now, and they do. They full send it, so a smart play by them, but I'm only 1 Volt Switch away from my next X-Scissor. I can throw this immediately and try to knock out this Shadow Quagsire. Once this goes down, a Superior has no way to knock out our Charjabug. They need like 3 or 4 Charge Moves if they want any chance to, but we're almost already at the next X-Scissor. We survived whatever they're going to throw. We can get their next Charge Move in just a second. In comes an Aerial Ace, does almost nothing to us, and X-Scissor are going to be reached and winning us the game with Charjabug, able to do so much work in that matchup. Alright, next game, Charjabug up against a Wigglytuff lead. Very neutral lead matchup, but I'm always happy to see this here rather than against our Shadow Feraligatr. So I'm going to try to neutrally play out this matchup and see what exactly they want to do here. Discharge is a very underwhelming attack, but I mean, 2 discharges would be able to knock them out, so let's see what they do. In comes the discharge, and they do let it go. That's a lot of good damage to get against them, but they do throw a charge move here. I think I do want to shield this up and start threatening shields against them in the back. What are they going to do? They're going to potentially try to make a catch. They actually do on a Corsola of all things, a Pokemon that, once again, when they save swap a Corsola, is music to my ears. All I have to do is come in with our Diggersby and start building up as much energy as we can, sponging all of their energy, and we are in a very good spot depending on what their final Pokemon is going to be. We are still down to shield this game, but we have a lot of energy on Charjabug. We can come out of this matchup pretty healthy and with a lot of energy on Diggersby, and we have a Shadow Feraligatr, which is hopefully going to be good in the backline, but if it does align into that Wigglytuff, it could still be a little bit awkward, saying they are outside of Shadow Claw downrange. Second Scorching Sand is going to come through. Our opponent is going to let it go. The third Scorching Sand should be close to enough to knock them out here, but our opponent actually going to opt to swap out to a Shadow Drifloon, so a double Ghost lineup with a Wigglytuff in the lead. I guess the trainer really did not like seeing Annihilates, but I land the Fire Punch, and because of that, I think I can just shield once, go for a full Hydro Cannon, or Shadow Claw down rather, maybe throw a Hydro Cannon if they let us, and draw a shield from this Pokemon. Because I have so much energy across the board on Diggersby, on Gator, and on Charjabug, I think there's really no way we can lose this game. All I have to do is shield, make sure that this Drifloon gets out of the way, and we can Shadow Claw down, have energy here. They're going to be forced to throw energy from their Wigglytuff or from their Corsola instantly if they want to neutralize our Gator before a Hydro Cannon is reached, but we have almost back-to-back Charge Moves on our Charjabug. We have a ton of health, a ton of energy as well on our Diggersby. I don't think there's anything they can do. Nightshade does knock us out, which is fine, but we can come in with our Diggersby in just a second here. We did chip and dip, so wait down my switch clock, make sure that our clocks are aligned. In comes that Wigglytuff. We're going to throw the X-Scissor and try our best to KO this Pokemon. Despite this being resisted, they are pretty low. Our opponent does let it go. It even knocks him out, and at this point, Charjabug might be able to finish off this endgame if they do no-shield this discharge. We still have our Diggersby in the backline, even if our Charjabug goes down, but I think at this point, we have this game in the bag. Our opponent, realizing that, ends up letting that move go. GG's to them. Next matchup going to be a Charjabug up against a Shadow Dragonite. Alright, a very scary Pokemon to see, but Charjabug actually doesn't have a terrible matchup here. X-Scissor does end up outpacing them to the second charge move, and even though it is resisted, it is going to do quite a bit of damage to them. X-Scissor, if it goes no shield, it is also going to put them into range where I can go for a full Volt Switch down. They actually do no shield that attack, very good call by them, but I can shield this up, go for a full farm down, and hopefully use energy with Charjabug against their backline. The Dragon Claw is going to do a lot of damage if I let that through, and these Dragon Breaths honestly putting us down almost into the red HP. In comes a Gastron. I'm going to swap out, keep our energy and health on our Charjabug, and see what's going to happen here. I am already down a shield though this game, which is a little bit awkward. They build up to an Earth Power. I'm going to double shield and hope that our Shadow Feraligatr is going to still have play. I don't know what they could have in the back. I'm hoping right now, since they're staying in against our Shadow Feraligatr, it's a poison type like a quagsire, maybe a Shadow Drapion. If that is the case, our Diggersby isn't a very good spot, but if it's something else, we could still be in a pretty bad position depending on what that other Pokemon might be. In comes another Body Slam. This Pokemon is going to be able to do a lot of damage to us, but we do barely reach the next Hydro Cannon, which should either knock out or draw a shield from this Gastrodon. Our opponent does invest no shields in their Pokemon here, unfortunately, and it's going to be a dewgong in the backline. That is not what you want to see. Our opponent very weak to a Rock-type lead, it looks like. I'm going to go for the Fire Punch before it gets debuffed. Is it going to even give us a chance to win this game? I don't even know. I think our Charjabug does have a lot of energy, but I don't know if I can even ever draw a shield against this dewgong with our Diggersby. Icy Wind number 1 does debuff our attack stat. They're going to reach a second one in just a moment here, depending on if they want to throw it or if they want to overfarm. Scorching Sands is going to be reached. If they shield this, there might be a chance to win this game, but if they no shield, then I don't think there is a chance at all. We actually get an attack drop here, which is helpful, but I know at this point the only way I can win this game is if I make a catch with our Charjabug against this dewgong. Icy Wind does end up landing against us. We have a lot of energy, but not quite at X-Scissor plus discharge range. We need another Volt Switch here, rather, and I don't think we can quite get it. I try to wait and make a catch, but our opponent sees it a mile away. They go for a full fast move farm down against our Shadow Gator, and at that point they have the Icy Wind loaded. GG's to them. Our next battle, if I saw that name correctly, is up against the world champion Yakai himself, one of, if not the best battler in the world. Let's see if we have any chance to beat him this game. In comes a Shadow Drapion lead. It's a Pokemon that has a lot of neutral play up against our Charjabug. Crunch does a decent amount of damage, and X-Scissor and Volt Switch is going to add up ourselves, but because Drapion is so spammy, they can win the Zero Shield matchup by landing an Aqua Tail here in just a second. X-Scissor does end up landing, does a massive amount of damage to that Shadow Drapion, puts them into fast move farm down range for our Charjabug, for our Shadow Gator, maybe even our Diggersby. So at this point, that Drapion is basically just a catch for him later on this game. I could have thrown the Discharge, but I didn't really want to desync the switch clocks. Instead, I instantly swap into our Shadow Feraligatr and try to get as much neutral fast move and resisted, I guess, Charging Pressure off against this as I can. But I know that despite the fact that these are resisted Hydro Cannons, they are going to add up quite a bit because of Shadow Feraligatr's massive attack stat. First Hydro Cannon comes through, almost puts them below half health. The Shadow Claws are going to put them into the yellow. Next Hydro Cannon coming through, our opponent is going to have a big decision to make. Do they opt to shield this, or are they going to let it go? Obviously, shielding a Hydro Cannon is always a little bit awkward here, so our opponent does opt to let that move through, and in comes another charge move from this Azumarill. Ice Beam is going to knock us out, but I know they're energy dry right now. I don't think this is a quick attack farm down range, but I'm going to try to if I can. If we can, we're in a really good spot, but I do have to throw a Fire Punch at the last second here. If they do opt to shield this, I can combo play with the energy we have on our Charjabug. Yakai opts to no shield the attack and come in likely with their third Pokemon. No, the Drapion comes in. Hold on. It might be a Corsola in the backline. It's gotta be a Corsola in the backline. He ends up top lefting. We are just barely able to clinch out the win there. GG's to our opponent. Very fun matchup. Charjabug proving once again why it is such a strong Pokemon. As long as you're avoiding those ground-type Pokemon, it has so much play in the current meta. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you've been enjoying videos like this on the channel and you want to see more in the future, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps out so much, and I'd really appreciate it. Thank you again for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.